Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Robert Bork taught us that the overriding objectives of antitrust law is to promote consumer welfare. Antitrust enforcement may seek to safeguard robust competition, but it must not become a tool to advantage or disadvantage particular competitors. I know that some of my friends here today have never met a merger that they liked. But too often, government intervention in such matters risks harming consumer welfare and innovation by protecting insufficient competitors from market forces. Absent clear evidence of market failure, consumers benefit when the government allows free markets to allocate resources in the most efficient manner possible. The markets for both video services and broadband internet are dynamic and innovative, with new entrants and evolving technologies. Government regulators must be especially careful not to intervene unwisely in such technologically dynamic markets. Still, the scope of the proposed merger between Comcast and Time Warner raises issues that deserve attention, and I thank all the witnesses for being here today to discuss this matter. Let me ask you this, Professor Yu. I'd like your view of this transaction from the perspective of antitrust law. After all, although the FCC has a broader mandate to examine whether the merger serves the public interest, the Justice Department must look, in my opinion, solely at whether the transaction is consistent with antitrust law. According to your legal analysis, would this merger create, for either video or broadband, an industry structure resulting in anti-competitive harms under established antitrust or communications law? And in particular, can you speak to the relevant markets at issue in that analysis? Some critics stress that the combined company would control 50% of high-speed internet access, a majority of cable subscribers, and 30% of MYPD customers. But are those the markets relevant to antitrust analysis in a video space that includes satellite providers and internet video platforms, or in a rapidly evolving broadband space that includes enhanced DSL fiber and advanced LTE services? Now, that's a lot of questions for you, but I just thought I'd ask them anyway.
Well, they're insightful questions, so I thank you for them. The people who have cited a number of close to 50% market share from the merged entity have not taken into account the latest technological advances that are going on right now. DSL is rapidly improving, employing a vast array of new technologies, including IPD slams and vectoring and a bunch of technical jargon, which I won't bother the committee with. But what is happening is AT&T is rolling out a new 45 meg service across its entire 80% of its footprint, and enhanced to 100, and we're not the only country. The UK, Germany, a lot of different countries are on this strategy. And when you start to see that, you see that DSL is actually coming back from the dead, and the facts say that where DSL has not enhanced itself, yes, it's losing market share from cable. But in the areas where AT&T has upgraded its network, it's actually taking subscribers from cable. And so we see a market where the only way you can get the 50% numbers if you pretend that DSL is not a competitor. The cable companies who are losing customers to DSL right now would beg to differ, because the facts for them is this is the exact kind of dynamic competition which we want, which is DSL, cable got better, put a challenge to DSL, it responded, and now DSL has put the challenge back on cable. And we're in a world where I think that when you look at the analysis, even as of today, the markets are not structured in a way that any anti-competitive effects are likely under conventional antitrust analysis. But what antitrust law will also tell you is what matters is not what's happening today, but it's what's going to happen in the future that really should guide analysis, and that world is going to become even more competitive than the facts today would lead you to believe.
Well, thank you. Now, Mr. Cohen or Mr. Vinson, whoever wants to answer it, we all know the broadband marketplace is dynamic. 5 years ago, many believed that no one could compete effectively against the bells. Today, some suggest that no one will be able to compete effectively against cable in providing broadband. What are the competitive conditions you now face, and how do you see the broadband marketplace evolving in the near future? Either or both.
There you go. I'll go first, Marty. So thank you, Senator. And I think we see a fiercely competitive broadband marketplace across our entire footprint. In each of the top MSAs in the country, there are double-digit broadband competitors in that space. And I'll give you, just to look at the combined footprint of Comcast and Time Warner Cable, in 98.4% of that footprint, the consumers have a choice between Comcast or Time Warner Cable, and at least one top 10 ILEC. So that's in 98.4% of our combined footprint. As Professor Yu just pointed out, there's a virtuous investment cycle that is occurring here. The cable industry launched cable modem service. That stimulated the Bells to take DSL off the shelves. It existed for more. They invested in it and launched that product. We invested more in cable modem service and made cable speeds much faster. That led the Bells ultimately to move to fiber-based, fiber to the home, fiber to the neighborhood, Fios or UVerse or other Bell products that are like UVerse. That led us to invest more and increase speeds. Those new speed announcements that I announced today, 13 speed increases in 12 years, are competitive responses to the Bells offering faster and faster internet service. As Professor Yu pointed out, that led the Bells to put to the side old DSL and invest in modern DSL technology to have more speeds. We announced this transaction, and the CEO of AT&T immediately said that this is going to create a heightened sense of urgency for us to invest even more in being able to respond to this particular transaction. So in the end, consumers are the big winners. In the broadband space or in the video space, it is really good to be a consumer today because of this investment cycle.
Well, thank you.
What I would add is that, in my opening remarks, I noted that we've spent billions of dollars over the last several years in capital expenditures, and a very high percentage of that goes to increasing capacity in our broadband plant. We've increased speeds from 3 meg to 100 meg across our footprint, and we have pockets of our footprint. We offer a 300 meg service. So obviously, on a price per meg basis, we offer much more value to consumers today than we did 10 years ago. In addition, what I would say is that has allowed us, that investment, to offer different tiers of service. So we offer over 6 different tiers of service. For example, early this year, we offered a everyday low price offer for $14.95 so that customers could get an offer that, for that part of the population was priced very effectively for them, all in response to a very competitive marketplace.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Thank you for your testimony.